It's nighttime in the big city. Pizza parlor is locking up. A drunken security guard drops his flashlight. It's Theme Time Radio Hour with your host, Bob Dylan.
Welcome to Theme Time Radio Hour, full of caffeinated dreams, schemes, and themes. Pour yourself a hot steaming cup of joe, because we're going to talk about the amber liquid of life. No matter what you call it, it's a drink made from the shrub of a tree. I'm talking about coffee. The common man's gold, and like gold, it brings to every person the feeling of luxury and nobility. Thank you, Juan Valdez. Here are the ink spots, Java Jive. The quavering high tenor of Bill Kenny was an influence on all the doo-wop bands that came in the 50s. He sang along with Charlie Fuqua, Deke Watson, and bass singer Hoppy Jones. Watson eventually left to form his own group, the Brown Dots. But no music was sweeter than the music they made together as the Ink Spots.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the jabba jive and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the jabba and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, boy. I love jabba, sweet and hot. Whoops, Mr. Moto, I'm a coffee pot. Shoot me the pot, now pour me a shot. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, slip me a slug from the wonderful mug. I'll cut a rug till I'm stuck in the jug. A slice of onion and a raw one. Draw one. Waiter, percolator. I love coffee, I love tea. I love the jabba jive and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the jabba and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, Boston beans, soybeans, green beans, cabbage and greens.
Cook it.
I'm not keen upon a bean unless it is the cherry bean, boy. I love coffee, I love tea, I love the jabba jive and it loves me. Coffee and the tea and the jabba and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, yeah. I love jabba, sweet and hot. Whoops, Mr. Moto, I'm a coffee pot. Shoot me the pot, now pour me a shot. A cup, a cup, a cup, yeah. Oh, throw me that slug from the wonderful mug. I'll cut a rug till I'm snug in the jug. Drop a nickel in the pot, Joe. I take 'em a slow. Waiter, percolator. I love coffee, I love tea. I love the jabba jive and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the jabba and me. Yeah. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Boom.
Shoot me the pot and pour me a shot. Slip me a slug from that wonderful mug, and I'll cut a rug till I'm snug in a jug. They love coffee, they love tea, the Ink Spots. Charles Maurice de Talleyrand described the perfect cup of coffee. Black as the devil, hot as hell, pure as an angel, and sweet as love. But as good as a cup of coffee is, it's even better with a cigarette, as Jerry Irby is going to tell us.
Now when I get up in the morning and I'm feeling mighty low, There's just one thing that'll pep me up, and I want you all to know. Well, it happens every morning, no matter where I'm at. I've just gotta have a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Now eggs over easy and ham and bacon too just never seem to satisfy, so here's what I must do. Forget about that breakfast food and to the table get, and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette is a habit that you can't forget. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette. Now early every morning the telephone will ring. It'll be some neighbor calling for a coffee fling. Then the women in the neighborhood, well, they all get together to talk about everything, that is everything except the weather. Now they seem to have a lot of fun, but there's one thing don't forget. They've got to have a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette is a habit that you can't forget. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette. Now there's old Jerry Irby. Why, almost every night he'll take in a nightclub and he'll come in about daylight. He feels as though his body and his head had never met. So he downs a cup of coffee and gets a cigarette. He says he's through with drinking and with honky-tonkin' too. But when the evening rolled around, you know just what he'll do. But the morning after, there's one thing you can bet. He'll taper off with a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette is a habit that you can't forget. Coffee, coffee and a cigarette.
That was Jerry Irby, one of them guys that went from hillbilly to rockabilly, with his eggs over easy and ham and bacon too, and one cup of coffee and a cigarette. I knew Jerry Irby. He owned an Esso station down in Spring, Texas. Wild guy, practical joker. He once said, I told my waiter my coffee tasted like mud. He said it should. It was ground this morning.
Chock full of nuts is that heavenly coffee, heavenly coffee, heavenly coffee. Chock full of nuts is that heavenly coffee. Better coffee a millionaires money can't buy.
What's there to say about Frank Edmund said? After he left Capitol Records, Frank started his own label called Reprise, which means to play again. And his first record was called Ring-a-Ding-Ding, and this song came from it.
Way down among Brazilians, coffee beans grow by the billions, so they've got to find those extra cups to fill. They've got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil. You can't get cherry soda, 'cause they've got to fill that quota. And the way things are, I'll bet they never will. They've got a zillion tons of coffee in Brazil. No tea or tomato juice, you'll see. No potato juice, 'cause the planters down in Santa's all say no, no, no. The politician's daughter was accused of drinking water and was fined a great big $50 bill. They've got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil. later, she smelled just like a percolator. Her perfume was made right on the grill. Why, they could percolate the ocean in Brazil. And when their ham and eggs need savor, coffee ketchup gives them flavor. Coffee pickles way outsell the dill. Why, they put coffee in the coffee in Brazil. No tea, no tomato juice, you'll see. No potato juice. The planters down in Santa's all say no, no, no. So you'll add to the local color, serving coffee with a crawler. Dunkin' doesn't take a lot of skill. They've got an awful lot of coffee, an awful lot of coffee. Man, they got a gang of coffee in Brazil.
That was old Blue Eyes talking about my favorite brown liquid. This time he's way down among the Brazilians, where the coffee beans go by the millions. And he's dating a girl, and he finds out later she smells just like a percolator. And Brazil is the world's largest coffee producer. Produces almost a third of the world's coffee. A lot of people compared songwriters Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook to Lennon and McCartney, but they were much younger. Here they are, with a stain on the notebook where the coffee cup was, in bed with a friend, with lips full of passion and plenty of coffee. Squeezed from their album Sweets from a Stranger.
Oh, there's ash in the pages, now I've got myself lost. I was writing to tell you that my feelings tonight are a stain on my notebook that brings your goodbye. Oh, now she's gone, and I'm back on the beat.
That was Squeeze on Theme Time Radio Hour. All about today's subject, coffee. A cup of coffee, real coffee. Home ground. Homemade. That comes to you dark as a hazel eye, but changes to a golden bronze as you temper it with cream that never cheated, but was real cream from its birth, thick, tenderly yellow, perfectly sweet, neither lumpy nor frothing on the Java. Such a cup of coffee is a match for 20 blue devils and will exercise them all. Henry Ward Beecher, deaf poet.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
The late, great Otis Redding. Let us start with Johnny Jenkins and the Pine Toppers. Struck out on his own and started recording for Stax Records. Wrote a bunch of songs with guitarist Steve Cropper. But he didn't write this one about cigarettes and coffee.
It's early in the morning, about 2:45. I'm sitting here talking with my baby over cigarettes and coffee. And to tell you that, dog, I've been so satisfied. Honey, since I've met you, baby, since I've met you, places that I've been around, and all the good-looking girls I've met, they just don't seem to fit in. No, in this particular sense, yeah. But it seems so natural, darling, that you and I are here, just talking over cigarettes and drinking coffee. You know, my heart cries out, love that last I found you. Honey, won't you let me just build my whole life around? And I could beat my whole life would be, yeah, if you would take things under consideration and walk down this aisle with me. I would love it, yeah. People, I say it's so early in the morning. Ooh, it's 2:45. We're sitting here talking over cigarettes and drinking coffee, that Lord. And I'd like to show you where I've known nothing but good old joy since I met you, darling. Honey, since I met you, baby, yeah. I would love to have another drink of coffee now. And please, darling, help me smoke just one more cigarette now. I don't want no cream and sugar, 'cause I got you now, darling. But just let me enjoy, help me to enjoy this good time that we'll have, baby. It's so early in the morning, so early in the morning, and I got you, and you got me. We have each other, and we don't.
All the good-looking girls I've met that just don't seem to fit in. I would love to have another drink of coffee, and please, darling, help me smoke just one more cigarette. Cigarettes and coffee. That was the late, great Otis Redding, who died on December 10th, 1967, when his plane crashed into Lake Monona in Madison, Wisconsin.
You've been here a while, I see.
I've been here, drinking a little coffee.
Yeah, I see you.
Ordered you some.
You ordered for me?
I mean, is it cool? Is that cool?
Yeah, okay. Coffee, yeah. Good for coffee.
Okay, man. Come on, have some coffee, yeah.
Curtis Gordon, born in Moultrie, Georgia, 1928, and just died recently in 2004. He had a sound that was kind of like a mix of honky-tonk and western swing, but with a freer, looser, and more vibrant singing style. He got a habit in the morning and a habit at night. He's got to have something to quiet him down. Got to see his neighbor to bum him a cig. Got to have something to keep him in line. Little girl up the street brews the finest pot. I tell you, boy, that ain't all she's got. We got a lot in common because she smokes the very same brand I do.
Gotta have it in the morning, gotta have it at night. I gotta have it in between time to make me feel right. My head starts throbbing, my nerves jump around. I gotta have some just to quiet them down. Caffeine and nicotine, and all the thing I've ever seen. The way the night's supposed to get so mean without caffeine or nicotine. Now the day before yesterday I tried to quit, but right away I threw a nicotine fit, so I grabbed the pot and I took a swig, but I had to see the neighbor to bum me a cig. Caffeine and nicotine, the doggone thing I've ever seen. The way the night's supposed to get so mean without caffeine or nicotine. Oh, you puff and you sip and you sip and you puff. Seems like you never can get enough. Just gotta have something to keep me alive. Can't work, boss, just gotta take 5. Caffeine and nicotine, the doggone thing I've ever seen. The way the night's supposed to get so mean without caffeine or nicotine. Little girl up the street brews the finest pot. I tell you, boy, that ain't all she got. We got a lot in common when we pitch and brew, 'cause she smokes the very same brand I do. Caffeine and nicotine, the doggone thing I've ever seen. The way the night's supposed to get so mean without caffeine or nicotine.
From 1954, on the RCA label, Curtis Gordon. He had great players on his records. Those boys were designing nuclear weapons. Caffeine can release fatty acids from fatty tissue without using a wrench. Maxwell House is named after the hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, where the original blend was served in 1886. Here's a song written by Marty Robbins, but sung in this case by Lefty Frizzell. Everybody raps about cigarettes and coffee. I guess they go together, like ham and eggs, bagels and lox, cheese and crackers, Abbott and Costello, Flat and Scruggs, Sonny and Cher, shampoo and rinse. Lefty don't go to bed at all. He just lays there and weeps, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee.
I guess I'll take a walk tonight. I know that I can't sleep, and I won't go to bed at all. I just lay there and wait. Instead I'll make our favorite spot. That's what I think I'll do. I got no smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee blue. Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee all night long, wondering how well us so right could suddenly go wrong.
take the next bus out of town, but I gotta be near you. I got to go smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee blue. Sitting at the table where I call my baby's name, wondering where our love went wrong, wondering who's to blame. Listening while the jukebox play the songs that make me blue. Another cup of coffee and a cigarette or two. Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee all night long, wondering how a love so right could suddenly go wrong. There's a lot of other people know the misery I go through. I got those smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee blue.
Although cigarettes and coffee didn't help Lefty Frizzell, he passed away at age 47. Sleep well, Lefty. You're part of our dreams, themes, and schemes. This is Theme Time Radio Hour. Stay awake. We're talking about coffee, the cure for manic depression and bipolar disorder. Another term for manic depression is the blues. Here's Sam Lightning Hopkins tell you all about it.
Pop couldn't bring no coffee home. Mom got mad at Pop couldn't bring no coffee home. She began to wonder what is going on wrong. Pop said, Mom, I ain't mad at you. Now don't get mad at me. Babe, I ain't mad at you. Now don't get mad at me. Whoa. Teasing Mama cause she say I ain't mad at you. Pop must been teasing Mama cause she say I ain't mad at you. She said everything's alright, don't make no difference what you do. You know Papa got good with Mama somehow. And I was crying for bread, and yes baby, I was crying for bread, and these are the words I said. Now look at Mama, just trying to shout. Here one evening, but Papa come home late at night. It was early one evening, but Papa come home late at night. That when Mama was mad and her Papa began to fight.
That was the Coffee Blues by Lightning Hopkins. Lightning wanted to be paid in advance before it recorded, and he'd only do the song but once. Lightning also recorded with a piano player, Wilson Thunder Smith, under the name Thunder and Lightning. Let me just pour myself a cup of coffee while I answer an email. Here's one from Mike Webster from Saratoga, New York. He writes, Dear Theme Time Radio Hour, I notice you play a lot of old songs. What do you have against new songs? P.S. I really like the show. Well, now, thanks, Mike. I know it seems like we play a lot of old songs, but the truth is, there's a lot more old songs than there are new songs. We got nothing against new songs, so just keep listening, and thanks for the note. Here's Scatman Crothers telling you to keep that coffee hot and make a lot.
Just keep that coffee hot.
I keep it hot.
Be sure you make a lot.
I'll make a lot.
Your coffee hits the spot.
It hits the spot.
So keep that coffee hot.
So keep it hot.
I love your coffee pot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot.
So keep it hot.
Just got my pay today.
Just today.
But I don't plan to stay.
Ain't gonna stay.
I'm leaving right away.
Yeah, right away.
Tonight's my night to play.
My night to play.
I love your coffee pot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot. Got some troubles to lose. Gonna live down those blues. So goodbye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Gonna have me some fun until I see the sun in the sky.
Bye, bye, bye.
But whatever I do, I will come back to you by and by.
Bye, bye, bye.
So keep that coffee hot.
I keep it hot.
Be sure you make a lot.
I make a lot.
Your coffee hits the spot.
It hits the spot.
So keep that coffee hot.
So keep it hot.
I love your coffee pot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot.
Some troubles to lose, gonna live down the blues, so goodbye.
Cutting out on you, honey.
Gonna have me some fun until I see the sun in the sky.
I'll be way up there.
But whatever I do, I will come back to you by and by.
Here I am again, honey. So keep that coffee hot.
I keep it hot.
Be sure you make a lot.
I make a lot.
Your coffee hits the spot.
It hits the spot.
So keep that coffee hot.
So keep it hot.
I love your coffee pot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee hot.
I love your pot.
So keep that coffee.
Terre Haute, Indiana native Scatman Crothers, keeping their coffee hot. You might know him better from seeing him on Chico and the Man, or in the movie The Shining, but Scatman Crothers had a long career before that. He played drums with Slim Gaillard, and recorded bebop, blues, swing, scat, and old-style jazz. In 1948, he met Phil Harris, and the two of them recorded a song called Chattanooga Shoeshine Boy. Hey, we're gonna play that on our Shoes show. Next up, a vocal group from Los Angeles, California, called The Larks, Coffee, Cigarettes, and Tears. I ran into Billy Vera over at Starbucks. He knew a whole lot about these guys.
The Larks go back to the Sela gospel singers from down in the Carolinas, and they were singing back in the 30s. There was a guy named Thurman Ruth, who was the sort of the manager, leader, and member of the group. At one point, I found a master on them in Capitol's vaults. And you know who recorded the Larks? Tex Ritter. They were already had made records on Decca in the old days. But Tex heard them down when he was traveling in the South, and he booked some studio time at some barn or something. And you can hear Tex on the slate. Right here we have Tex, take one. And it's really cool to hear that, to know that Tex Ritter was digging the Larks.
Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Just another nervous wreck am I, since my baby said goodbye. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Just a nervous wreck am I, since my baby said goodbye. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. There's no use going home tonight, I'd only lie awake. My baby said goodbye again, and my heart's about to break. So please don't mind my sitting here, alone with my regrets. Another cup of coffee and a pack of cigarettes. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Just a nervous wreck am I, since my baby said goodbye. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. It's nice of you to tell me, Belle, that she was all to blame. She only brings me misery, but I love her just the same. I understand your sympathy, you'd like to help some way. Just fill that old cup again and empty the old ashtray. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears. Just a nervous wreck am I, since my baby said goodbye. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears.
That was The Larks, their first single on Apollo Records. It's a song about being a wreck and telling you who was all to blame. Coffee, cigarettes, and tears.
Ah, damn. Where the hell did you ever find him?
Used to run with Thornton and me. Did his share of killing and more around Lane Creek.
Yeah, only now he does his killing with a coffee cup.
Walden Robert Casato. He changed his name when he saw a sign outside a Chinese restaurant that said Mandarin Duck. The first three letters were burnt out, so it just said Darren Duck. And he said, that seems like a good name, Darren Duck. Here's Bobby Darin, Black Coffee.
I'm feeling mighty lonesome, haven't slept a wink. I walk the floor and watch the door, in between I drink. Black coffee loves a hand-me-down broom. I'll never know a Sunday in this weekday room. Been talking to the shadows, 1 o'clock till 4. And Lord, how slow the moments go when all you do is pour. Black coffee, since the blues caught my eye. I'm hanging out on Monday, my Sunday dreams to dry. You know a man is born to love a woman, to work and slave to pay her debts, just because he's only human, to drown his past regrets in coffee and cigarettes. I'm mooning all the morning, morning all the night, In between its nicotine, not much heart to fight. Black coffee, feeling low as the ground. I'm waiting for my baby to maybe come around. Drown my past regrets in some coffee and a few cigarettes. I'm mooning all the morning, morning all the night. In between it's nicotine and not much heart to fight. Black coffee, feeling low as the ground. It's driving me crazy, this waiting for my baby to maybe come around. Please come around. Please.
That was Bobby Darin singing about talking to the shadows at 1 till 4, drowning his past regrets in coffee and cigarettes, mooning all the morning and morning all the night, from his album This Is Darin, a song written by Sonny Burke and Paul Francis Webster, Black Coffee. Next up we have a song about raindrops in my coffee by Sexsmith and Care. The Sexsmith is Ron Sexsmith, great singer-songwriter from up in Canada. Wrote a beautiful song from a few years back called Secret Heart. On this record, he does a series of duets with Don Care, who's played drums and cello with his band for years. They standing in the rain again with raindrops in their coffee. What's a boy to do to make the clouds disappear?
3, 4.
Raindrops in my coffee. What's a boy to do to make the clouds disappear? What's a boy to do to make it clear? Raindrops or tears rolling down my cheek. Teardrops on the sidewalk. What's it gonna take to make the sun shine again? What's a boy to do to ease the pain? Teardrops or rain rolling down my cheek. Good times come and then they go, they're off somewhere, but I can't follow. I see them disappear around the bend, and I'm standing in the rain again. Raindrops in my coffee. What's a boy to do to make the clouds disappear? What's a boy to do to make it clear? Raindrops or tears rolling down my cheek. Raindrops in my coffee. Ooh.
your beer. No use crying over spilled milk. No use putting raindrops in your coffee. Sex, Myth, and Care on Theme Time Radio Hour. You know, at one time coffee was believed to be the drink of the devil. When Pope Vincent III heard about this, he decided to taste the drink before banning it. In fact, he enjoyed coffee so much, he wound up baptizing it, stating, "Coffee is so delicious, it would be a pity to let the infidels have exclusive use of it." I also feel that way about coffee, and about TV, and about Blur.
Around
Damon Albarn, and Blur. You know, Voltaire was rumored to have a 50-cup-of-coffee-a-day habit. Ellamy Morse, on the other hand, drinks 10 cups less, but it's not doing her any good. She's pulling out her hair, watching the clock, and waiting for you to knock. She's waiting for you to come home.
Taste the floor, stop and stare. I drink a cup of coffee and start to combing out my hair. I drink 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee waiting for you to come home. A quarter to 12, you're still not in. The way you run around is the doggone sin. I drink 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee waiting for you to come home. A quarter to 3, I start watching the clock. The phone won't ring, so I'm waiting for your knock. I drink 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee waiting for you to come home. Cigarette and drink 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee waiting for you to come home. You knock on the door about a quarter to 5. I wanna hug and kiss you and say I'm glad you're still alive. I drank 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, 40 cups of coffee, but I'm glad you finally came home.
Ellamy Morse, at age 17, started singing with Freddie Slack's orchestra, and her vocal on Cow Cow Boogie gave Capitol Records its first gold disc. She recorded the original version of The House of Blue Lights, which the Rolling Stones later covered. She died in Bullhead City, Arizona in 19... Well, my engineer's giving me the high sign, which means we're out of time for another week. But before we go, one last song.
Cup of coffee, and let's have another piece of pie.
Trouble's just a bubble, and the clouds will soon roll by.
So let's have another cup of coffee,
Let's have another piece of pie. Let a smile be your umbrella, for it's just an April shower.
Go and see a fortune teller,
And we'll predict a silver lining. Soon we'll turn the corner with our banners flying high.
so let's have another cup of coffee,
And let's have another piece of pie. What's the cheering all about? Why do all the people shout?
he's the one we're waiting for,
Our goodwill ambassador.
our goodwill ambassador.
Cielo y las estrellas son como ojos de Raquel. Pues vamos a beber un cafecito y comemos un pedazo de pastel. Vamos de paseo cuando venga Don Miguel. Pues vamos a beber un cafecito. Oh, let's have another piece of pie.
Hip hip hooray, hooray, hooray. Hip hip hooray, hooray, hooray. Soon we'll turn the corner with our banners flying high.
Let's have another cup of coffee,
And let's have another piece of pie.
From the musical Face the Music, which opened in the 1931, 1932 Broadway season, recorded by Glenn Miller and written by Irving Berlin. Right now, I'm going to head on over to Sampson's Diner, where trouble's like a bubble and the clouds will soon roll away, and have myself another cup of coffee and another piece of pie. I'll see you all next week on Theme Time Radio Hour.
It's nighttime in the big city. The rain-soaked streets reflect the glare of passing headlights. A cab driver tosses a 50-cent tip out the window. A woman with a torch stands in the harbor. It's Theme Time Radio Hour with your host, Bob Dylan.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. First Nighter, and all the ships at sea. Welcome to Theme Time Radio Hour, and tonight we're gonna be going from the Bowery to the Bronx, from the East Village to Harlem, from Hudson Heights to Lenox Hill, and from Koreatown to Little Italy, from Hell's Kitchen to Greenwich Village, from Manhattan Valley to Marble Hill, from Midtown South to Midtown itself, from Murray Hill to NoHo, from Roosevelt Island to Soho, from Spanish Harlem to Sugar Hill, from Sutton Place to Tribeca, from Tudor City to Turtle Bay, from the Upper East Side to the Upper West Side, from the West Village to Washington Heights, from West Harlem to Yorkville. That's right, we're talking about the greatest piece of real estate on the planet, a little island known as Manhattan. So settle in and join us for the next hour as we talk about New York. You do a lot of walking in New York City, but sometimes you gotta rest your feet. It can be expensive to hail a cab, so sometimes you hop on the subway. In the background, Duke Ellington takes the hay train. Even though this was Duke's theme song, it wasn't written by him. It was written by a young Pittsburgh soda jerk who was a big fan of Duke's band. His name was Billy Strayhorn. and he approached him when Duke was playing in Pittsburgh. Duke was impressed and told him to get in touch if he was ever in New York. Billy wanted to impress Duke, so when he showed up, he had written a song using the traveling instructions that Duke's office had given him. The lyrics were, "You must take the A train to go to Sugar Hill, way up in Harlem." Well, Billy Strayhorn was a soda jerk no more. He wrote more than 200 songs with Duke Ellington and for Duke's orchestra, and he kept writing right up until he was on his deathbed, delivering his final composition called Blood Count. Ellington recorded it right after Strayhorn's death on the emotionally charged album, and his mother called him Bill. He was known as Sweet Pea, and he was one of the few openly gay musicians in jazz. Billy Strayhorn, Take the Hay Train. We're going to continue our little musical tour of New York and play a song by a man who was born in Dunlith, Mississippi. Like a lot of people, he had dreams of the big city. He moved from Dunlith to Chicago, but I guess he always had dreams of coming to New York. Here's Jimmy Reed, Going to New York.
New York, get on me a quiz show. Gotta win myself some all of that dough. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to my house, the wall. I've been down south, you know. I've been out east. I've been out west, but I'm not gonna rest till I get to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to fly out the wall. I've been in, been down, honey, I've been summer everywhere, but I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to fly off the wall.
Everybody's got something on their minds when they go to New York, and Jimmy Reed wanted to get onto a New York quiz show. Some of the most popular quiz shows in New York at that time were the $64,000 question, Information Please, Winner Take All, Quiz Kids, What's My Line, It Could Be You, The Big Surprise, and Beat the Clock. I'd pay any amount of money to have seen Jimmy Reed on Beat the Clock. Dyke and the Blazers got their start as the OJ's backing band. They were stranded in Phoenix when the OJ's couldn't afford to bring them to Buffalo for a gig, while the Blazers decided to stay in Phoenix and base themselves there. Dyke had written a song called Funky Broadway, and they released it in 1966. Los Angeles DJ Art LeBeau picked it up for his Original Sounds label, and it became a sizable R&B hit. And it may be the first record to use the word funky in the title. It became more popular when Wilson Pickett recorded it for Atlantic Records. It went to number 1 on the R&B charts and number 8 on the pop charts. Let's take a walk down Funky Broadway, Dyke and the Blazers. and the Blazers recorded a whole bunch of funky singles. They should have been big stars. Unfortunately, Dyke was shot to death on a street in Phoenix on March 13th, 1971. In 1885, the French gave us a gift that right now stands in the mouth of the Hudson River. It's a 101-foot tall lady with a 35-foot waist and an 8-foot index finger. It's not polite to discuss her weight, but I can tell you it's 204 tons. It's Lady Liberty, the Statue of Liberty. She's made out of copper and covered in 24-karat gold leaf. She was sculpted by Frederick Auguste Bartholdi. Gustave Eiffel, who designed the famous tower in France, the Gustave Tower, engineered the internal structure. On a plaque mounted on the inner wall on a pedestal is a poem written by Emma Lazarus. Everybody knows the last couple of lines, but nobody seems to know the whole thing. Here's the new Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is imprisoned lightning in her name. Mother of exiles, from her beacon hand, glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command. The Airbridge harbor, that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Moss Hart said, New York is not a city to return to in defeat. One man who doesn't know the meaning of the word defeat is Lou Reed.
Pedro lives out at the Wilshire Hotel. He looks out a window without glass. The walls are made of cardboard. Newspapers on his feet, and his father beats him because he's too tired to beg. He's got 9 brothers and sisters. They're brought up on their knees. It's hard to run when a coat hanger beats you on the thighs. Pedro dreams of being older and killing the old man, but that's a slim chance. He's going to the boulevard. He's gonna end up on the dirty boulevard. He's going out to the dirty boulevard. He's going down to the dirty boulevard. This room costs $2,000 a month. You can believe it, man, it's true. Somewhere a landlord's laughing till he wets his pants. No one dreams of being a doctor or a lawyer or anything. They dream of dealing on the dirty boulevard. Give me you're hungry, you're tired, you're poor, I'll piss on them. That's what the statue of bigotry says. Your poor huddled masses, let's club them to death and get it over with and just dump them on the boulevard. Get them out on the dirty boulevard. Going out to the dirty boulevard. They're going down on the dirty boulevard. Going out. Outside it's a bright night. There's an opera at Lincoln Center. Movie stars arrive by limousine. The Klieg lights shoot up over the skyline of Manhattan, but the lights are out on the mean streets. A small kid stands by the Lincoln Tunnel. He's selling plastic roses for a buck. The traffic's backed up to 39th Street. The TV whores are calling the cops out for a suck. And back at the wheelchair, Pedro sits there dreaming. He's found a book on magic in a garbage can. He looks at the pictures and stares up at the cracked ceiling. At the count of 3 he says, I hope I can disappear and fly away from this dirty boulevard. I want to fly from the dirty boulevard. I want to fly from the dirty boulevard. I want to fly from the dirty boulevard. I want to fly away. I want to fly away. I want to fly away. Fly away.
That was the boy from New York City, Lou Reed.
He adored New York City. He idolized it all out of proportion. He romanticized it all out of proportion. Yeah. To him, no matter what the season was, this was still a town that existed in black and white and pulsated to the great tunes of George Gershwin.
You don't have to live in New York to love New York. And even if you don't live there, you can still consider it your home. Case in point, Ray Charles, who was born in Georgia, died in Beverly Hills, and lived most of his life on the road. That didn't stop him from recording this song called New York's My Home. It might not be totally true, but who cares? It's a good song.
Listen, all you New Yorkers, there's a rumor going around that some of you good people want to leave this town, but you better consult with me before you go.
Why?
'Cause I've been all these places and I know.
Chicago?
Chicago's all right. It's got Wrigley Field and Soldiers Field and Marshall Field, and it's on a nice lake. But it hasn't got the handsomes in the park. It hasn't got a skyline after dark. That's why New York's my home. Never let me leave it. New York's my home, sweet home.
What about Hollywood?
Hollywood's got movie stars and movie czars and cocktail bars and shiny cars and a wonderful climate, they say. But it hasn't got the handy subway train. You seldom find a taxi when it rains. That's why New York's my home. Keep your California, New York's my home, sweet home.
Gee, what's happening in St. Louis?
Lots of people like St. Louis. It's got lots of shoes and the St. Louis blues, and one of our large rivers run by. But it hasn't got the opera in the Met. It hasn't got a famous string quartet. That's why New York's my home. Not a place to visit. New York's my home, sweet home.
San Francisco?
San Francisco is a lovely place. It's got lots of hills and lots of thrills, and it's on an ocean of some size. But it hasn't got the Bowery of the Bronx. It hasn't got a Harlem honky-tonk. That's why New York's my home. It's my favorite city. New York's my home, sweet home. So save your time and trouble. I said save your railroad fare. I say you better save your time and trouble, brother. Yeah, save your railroad fare. 'Cause when you leave New York, yeah, let me say you ain't going nowhere.
That was Ray Charles. New York's my home. Now, Ray might not have been born in New York, but lots of people were. Here's a few. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Patty Chayefsky, Humphrey Bogart, Herman Melville, Ogden Nash, Barbara Stanwyck, Martin Van Buren, and Tupac Shakur. New Yorkers all. New York has always been a melting pot. You can walk from one side of the island to the other and hear music from around the world. New York has always been a crossroads of Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, and other Latin musicians. They played with jazz bands in the 40s, mambo bands in the 50s, and created a music all their own called salsa. Here's one of the kings of salsa, Johnny Colon, and his song New York Mambo. Play it, Johnny.
Oye, de Nueva York no me voy, porque aquí fue donde nací. Dime, si tú lo quieres también, como mi amor te quiero yo a ti.
That was New York Mambo, Johnny Colon. New Yorkers are amazingly loyal. They love New York more than any other city. Here's what Neil Simon had to say. And remember, this is Neil Simon, not me. When it's 100 degrees in New York, it's 72 in Los Angeles. When it's 30 degrees in New York, in Los Angeles, it's still 72. However, there are 6 million interesting people in New York and 72 in Los Angeles. You can find anything you want in New York. Any kind of food, any type of clothes, any type of entertainment.
And I'll tell you another thing. Frankly, you're beginning to smell. And for a stud in New York, that's a handicap.
Well, don't talk to me about clean. I ain't never seen you change your underwear once the whole time I've been here in New York. And you're gonna tell me what appeals to women.
I know enough to know that great big dumb cowboy crap of yours don't appeal to nobody except every Jackie on 42nd Street.
Some people find allure in New York City. Harry Nilsson sure did. He wrote this song to be the theme for the New York movie Midnight Cowboy, but he ended up losing out the slot to Fred Neil, who wrote Everybody's Talking. Harry got to sing that one too, but he wrote this one. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. Harry Nilsson.
I'll say goodbye to all my sorrow, and by tomorrow I'll be on my way. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. I'm so tired of getting nowhere, seeing my prayers gone unanswered. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. Well, here I am, Lord, knocking at your back door. Ain't it wonderful to be where I've always wanted to be? For the first time I'll breathe free here in New York City. Say goodbye to all my sorrow, and by tomorrow I'll be on my way. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. So tired of getting nowhere and seeing my prayers gone unanswered. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. Well, here I am, Lord, knocking at your back door. Ain't it wonderful to be where I've always wanted to be? For the first time I'll breathe free here in New York City.
That was Harry Nilsson. I guess the Lord must be in New York City. 110th Street is the informal boundary line to Harlem. Across 110th Street is the title of a 1972 movie starring Alfred Koto, Anthony Quinn, and Tony Francioso.
Things don't add up. 2 whites, 3 blacks. How do you figure it?
What else brings whites to Harlem but business?
It's a type of movie known as blaxploitation. These are movies made by, for, and about black people. Some of the most famous ones are Foxy Brown, Shaft, Superfly, Coffee, and Cleopatra Jones. One of the best is Across 110th Street. Bobby Womack, who we've talked about on other shows, did the theme to that movie. You probably heard that in a couple of places. Quentin Tarantino used it on one of his soundtracks. I've always been partial to the demo of that record. Shows how funky you can be with a couple of acoustic guitars. Here's Bobby Womack, Across 110th Street.
Hey!
y'all, I got a story I want to tell somebody. In my life I've seen a lot of things go down. I was the third brother of five, doing whatever I had to do to survive. I'm not saying what I did was all right. Trying to break out of the ghetto was a day-to-day fight. Been down so long, getting up didn't cross my mind, but I knew there was a better way of life, and I was just trying to find. You don't know what you would do until you put under pressure. Across 110th Street is a hell of a tester. Across 110th Street, pusher won't let a junkie go free. Across 110th Street, boys are trying to catch a trick on the street. Across 110th Street, you can find it all in the street. Oh yeah. I don't mean to bother you, but I got one more thing I want to say. Hey brother, there's a better way out. Snorting that coke, shooting that dope, man, you're copping out. Take my advice, it's either live or die. You gotta be strong, brother, if you wanna survive. You see, the family on the upper side of town will catch hell if a ghetto wasn't around. In every city, you find the same thing going down. Harlem is the capital of any ghetto town. Across 110th Street, pimps are trying to get your woman last week. Across 110th Street, push your coat, let a junkie go free. Oh, across 110th Street, boys are trying to catch a trick on the street, yeah. Across 110th Street, you can find it all in the street. Yes, you can. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do it again, just like a fish hooked on a line. The man's got his way, reeling you in a little at a time. Up on 110th Street, pimps are trying to get your woman that's sweet. Wait a minute.
That was Bobby Womack and his demo for Across 110th Street on Theme Time Radio Hour. F. Scott Fitzgerald said, New York had all the iridescence of the beginning of the world, and you could see that all the way uptown, traveling through Midtown, and all the way downtown to the Village. By the turn of the 20th century, Greenwich Village became known as the Bohemian Enclave. Perhaps the low rent, the amalgamation of cultures, the presence of New York University helped turn Greenwich Village into a haven for artists, singers, songwriters, painters, poets, dancers, and photographers.
It don't mean a thing if it don't mean a thing.
That is a voice and sound of our times, a member of the so-called beat generation dramatically expressing a negative attitude toward the 20th century. His haven, away from the rest of the world, is a coffee house in downtown New York, in an area known as Greenwich Village, perhaps the most unusual and colorful village in the world.
One thing you see a lot of in New York is industrious people. People find a lot of different ways to make livings, not all of them on the up and up. Vincent the Chin Gigante became boss of the Genovese crime family. He had avoided earlier charges as far back as the early 80s by feigning insanity. You could see him walking around Greenwich Village and Little Italy in a bathrobe and slippers. When agents from the FBI busted in to serve him a subpoena, they had to follow him into the bathroom, where he stood under a running shower with an umbrella over his head. His family and lawyers said he was mentally and physically ill, incapable of standing trial. He held off trial for 7 years. Psychiatrists appointed by the courts testified that he was a schizophrenic. His 1997 trial was a public spectacle. He came in a wheelchair, talking to himself. His lawyers said they could not communicate with him. He might have permanently succeeded, except for the events that happened on 9/11. The feds secretly taped him, making a call to his children to make sure they were safe. He was lucid and totally connected to reality. It was the only time he had broken his act. 9/11 was a terrible time, and it also brought down the reign of the chin.
This is Manhattan, business center of New York City and heart of the city's life. Millions pour into the area every day to work and shop, to buy and sell, to manufacture clothes, to run banks and brokerage firms, to handle imports and wholesale goods, to load and unload ships. But where do all these people come from, and how do they get here?
In the background, Autumn in New York, written by Vernon Duke. Saul Bellow had this to say about New York in Seize the Day. On Broadway, it was still bright afternoon and the gassy air was almost motionless under the leaden spokes of sunlight, and sawdust footprints lay about the doorways of butcher shops and fruit stores. And the great, great crowd, the inexhaustible current of millions of every race and kind pouring out and pressing around, of every age, every genius, possessors of every human secret, antique and future. Saul Bellow, a prose writer. Next up on Theme Time Radio Hour, a song about the boys in the city. It's written by Joey Spampinato, who for a while was married to Skeeter Davis and did a great album with her and his band, NRBQ. Here they are, singing about things they love in New York.
After I've been away from the subway trains, it's not the same. And how could I forget the days with all my friends at home, where you could sing a song about the country, where you could sing it on the phone. But don't forget the boys in the city, where they could sing about New York. Well, I used to sing up on the corner of my block, and we didn't need no band to get started. Oh no, oh no. But you could sing a song about the country, well, you could sing it on the phone. But don't forget the boys in the city, well, they could sing about New York. Well, they sing about grass on the hill, and they're drinking their booze from the still. Well, I sing about the trees in the park, and I'm smoking that weed after dark. Well, it wasn't easy when I think about the rest, but I knew the things would be alright on the corner. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You could sing a song about the country, well, you could sing farm. Don't forget the boys in the city, but they could sing about New York.
Here's some other things I love about New York. Shakespeare is free in the park. You can see basketball, hockey, and the circus in one place, Madison Square Garden. I love hot pencils off the street, the drinkable tap water. The Staten Island Ferry is free, and the bars don't close till 4 a.m. There's a lot to love about New York City.
How come a couple of cats from Harlem come downtown this morning looking for John Shaft?
Well, they're soul brothers. They came down so I could teach them the handshake.
Sugar Hill was the northern part of Harlem. It looks out into the valley of Harlem, and it gives views beyond the Harlem River. It's the epicenter of cultural development in the African-American community of New York. During the Harlem Renaissance, this area was revered as the spot that claimed and enjoyed the sweet life, and that's why they called it Sugar Hill. So when Anita O'Day and Roy Eldridge talk about going uptown, they're talking about going up to Harlem, where everything was swinging, and eventually going up to Sugar Hill. Here's Anita O'Day and Roy Eldridge, along with Gene Krupa and his band, and a big hit, Let Me Off Uptown.
Joe, my name's Roy.
Well, come here, Roy, and get groovy. You been uptown?
No, I ain't been uptown, but I've been around.
You mean to say you ain't been uptown?
No, I ain't been uptown. What's uptown?
If it's pleasure you're about, and you feel like stepping out, all you've got to shout is, let me off uptown. If it's rhythm that you feel, then it's nothing to conceal. All you've got to spill is, let me off uptown. Rib joints, juke joints, hip joints. Where could a fella go to top it? If you want to pitch a ball and you can't afford a hall, all you've got to call is, let me off uptown.
Anita, oh Anita, say I feel something.
What you feel, Roy? The heat?
No, it must be that uptown rhythm. I feel like blowing.
Well, blow, Roy, blow.
That was Let Me Off Uptown, Anita O'Day, and Roy Eldridge, one of the first interracial bands. It was very difficult for them to travel around the country. Quite often, Roy Eldridge was not allowed to have a room in the same hotel. He finally figured out a solution. He would walk in carrying in his own luggage, pretending to be his own valet. He would then ask for the key for Mr. Eldridge's room, go up to his room, and refuse to come out. Gene Krupa said that he was targeted because people were upset that he led an interracial band. In 1943, he was falsely arrested on a trumped-up narcotics charge. He blamed bigots who didn't like the way he did business. Hats off to Gene Krupa for standing up for his fellow man. Make no mistake, New York is a wonderful city, but it's a bitch to be broke there. No one knows better than Soul Brother number 1, James Brown, who wrote this song, Down and Out in New York City, for Larry Cohen's movie, Black Caesar. Here's James Brown talking about tough times in the Big Apple, down and out in New York City.
He said, brother, can I borrow a thin, brother, you know, dime? Says. I sure like to have a soul dime for me so I can get this cup of coffee. Caught me a snack or something. I guess I better quit trying to be hip and get on down. Hey man, like you know. I was born in New York City on a Monday. It seems I was out trying to shoot by Tuesday noon. All the fat cats and the fat hats doing me a real big favor. I got the fat cats and the fat hats playing it on real good. Yeah, the dime boy, give me a dime boy. Oh, just when the cold wind comes, it lives in New York City, and the streets no place to be, but there you are. So you try hard or you die hard. No one really gives a good damn. You try hard and you die hard. No one gives a damn. You're the dime boy. Give me a dime boy. Turning house in New York City. Ain't no way to be, but wherever you go, when you're down and out in New York City, I'm never gonna get that way again. No, not me. When you need a friend, need to have her. When you want a friend, gonna get myself together till the morning. Gonna leave it all like a one bad dream. All bad cats and the bad hats doing me a real big favor. They got the bad cats and the bad hats playing it on real good. There's a dime boy, give me a dime boy. Woo!
That was James Brown, Down and Out in New York City on Theme Time Radio Hour. If you're down and out in New York City, you might find yourself on the Bowery. The Bowery was the most elegant street in New York in the 18th century, but it fell on hard times, and for at least 100 years, it became synonymous with economic depression. In the background, that unusual music you're hearing is by an unusual man. He was born with the name Louis Hardin. Longtime New Yorkers know him as Moondog. He dressed up like a Viking and played music on the streets. Some people thought he was just a street person, but they didn't realize that people such as Leonard Bernstein and Toscanini considered him a fine musician. He recorded for the Prestige label in the 50s and a number of European labels. One of the interesting characters you'll find on the streets of New York. when Mike D, MCA, and Ad Rock released Cookie Puss, a song about their favorite Carvel ice cream cake in 1983, everyone thought the Beastie Boys were just a flash in the pan.
Hello, I'm Cookie Puss.
But New Yorkers are much tougher than that, and they made it through all sorts of changes in music. Here's one of their early ones from 1986, a shout out to one of the 5 boroughs, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, the Beastie Boys.
No sleep till.
That was the Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, from their Death Jam album, License to Ill. Brooklyn, by the way, is a Dutch name, as is Flushing, Harlem, Staten Island, and Gramercy, and the Bowery. Next up on Theme Time Radio Hour is the kind of song you call a flag waver, and I'm going to let Hank Ballard introduce it to you.
Bright lights, wine, women, and song. Everything you want is right here on Broadway. Broadway, baby.
That one just about made me drop my mustard squirter. Broadway by old friend Hank Ballard on Theme Time Radio Hour.
Darling, that's me?
Mm-hmm.
You have a date, my beloved, July the 1st at 5 o'clock. But you don't say where.
Well, you name the place and I'll obey.
I don't know, I can't think. How about the top of the Empire State Building?
Oh, yes, that's perfect. It's the nearest thing to heaven we have in New York.
A little bit earlier, we talked about a lot of different neighborhoods in Manhattan. We did a good job, but I think this next lady does it a little better. If there was ever a love song to a city, I'd say it was this one. Dinah Washington singing the Rodgers and Hart composition, Manhattan.
We'll take Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too. It's lovely going through the zoo. Well, it's very fancy on Old Delancey Street, you know. The subway charms us so. When balmy breezes blow to and fro, and tell me what street compares with Mott Street in July. Sweet push carts gently gliding by. The great big cities, a wondrous toy, just made for a girl and boy. We'll turn Manhattan into an isle of joy. We'll go to Yonkers, where true love conquers in the wilds. Childs. We'll go to Coney and eat bologna on a roll. In Central Park we'll stroll, where first a kiss we stole, soul to soul, and for some high fare we'll go to my fair lady say. We'll hope it closes someday. The city's clamor can never spoil the dreams of a boy and girl. We'll turn Manhattan into an isle of joy. The city's bustle cannot, no, it cannot destroy the dreams of a girl and boy. We'll turn Manhattan into an isle of joy.
That was Dinah Washington singing about a bunch of points north, east, west, and south on the island of Manhattan, and doing a lovely job at it as well.
There are 8 million stories in the naked city. This has been one of them.
Well, we could spend hours and hours talking about New York. We could play hundreds of songs, but they only give us an hour. We'll have to come back again and play a few more of them. But right now, I'm going to leave you with the words of F. Scott Fitzgerald, who wrote this in The Great Gatsby. Over the great bridge, with the sunlight through the girders making a constant flicker upon the moving cars, with the city rising up across the river in white heaps and sugar lumps all built with a wish out of non-olfactory money. The city seen from the Queensboro Bridge is always the city seen for the first time, and in its first wild promise of all the mystery and beauty in the world. New York has always been good to me. I hope I was nice to it for the past hour. I'll see you on the streets of Manhattan.
You've been listening to Theme Time Radio Hour with your host, Bob Dylan. Produced by Eddie Gorodetsky. Associate producer, Sonny Webster. Continuity by Eats Martin. Edited by Damian Rodriguez. Supervising editor, Rob McCumber. The Theme Time research team, Diane Lapson and Bernie Bernstein. With additional research by Lynn Sheridan, Kimberly Williams, and Robert Bauer. Production assistance by Jim McBeam. Special thanks to Randy Azrati, Debbie Sweeney, Coco Shinomiya, and Samson's Diner. For XM Radio, Lee Abrams. Recorded in Studio B, the Abernathy Building. Studio engineer, Tex Carbone. This has been a Greywater Park production in association with Big Red Tree. This is your announcer, Pierre Mancini, speaking. Join us again next week for Theme Time Radio Hour when the subject is death and taxes.
I love this dirty town.